Welcome back, Motors review channel, the 2006 Vonez X700 Street Dominator. Before we begin, please hit that subscribe button on the Motors review channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on future rides and reviews. You're watching Motors Review, where bikes get the scrutiny and love they deserve. So let's roll into the heart of what makes the X700 a machine worth your attention. From the first glance, the Vonez X700 has an aggressive, muscular stance. The sculpted fuel tank, sharp tail section, and wide rear hoop give it a dominant presence on the road. Its LED headlight cluster is modern, compact, and gives it a slightly menacing face. The riding position is semi-forward, leaning just enough to feel sporty without shredding your wrists on long rides. The handlebars are slightly raised, giving a touch of comfort for urban riding while maintaining control in corners. Underneath that angular bodywork lives a 700cc parallel twin engine, liquid-cooled, with a claimed output of around 72 horsepower at 8,500 RPM and torque of 65 Nm at 6,500 RPM. These numbers place it in a sweet spot, powerful enough to feel exhilarating, yet not so extreme that it becomes impractical for everyday use. It uses a 6-speed transmission with a fairly crisp feel when shifting, and a slipper clutch to reduce rear-wheel hop under hard downshifts. On paper, these specs give the X700 good acceleration, from 0 to 60 mph, 0-100 km/h, in approximately 3.8 seconds, and a top speed in the ballpark of 140 mph, 225 km/h. In real-world riding, you'll feel strong mid-range thrust, perfect for overtakes and making quick passes in city traffic. The chassis is built around a twin-spar aluminum frame, tuned for a balance of rigidity and feedback. Up front, there's a 43mm inverted fork with 130mm travel, adjustable for preload and damping. At the rear, the monoshock is preload and rebound adjustable. Together, the setup offers competent handling, very responsive in tight corners, yet confident on highway sweepers. Braking is handled by dual 320mm floating discs with radial mount 4-piston calipers at the front, and a single 260mm disc with a 2-piston caliper at the rear. ABS is optional on higher trim models, and in my test version, ABS did reduce the distance in panic stops and helped maintain stability under trail braking. Wheels are 17-inch front and rear, wrapped in 120/70 front and 180/55 rear sport touring tires. The choice gives a nice balance, good grip when pushing hard, yet manageable for everyday riding and commuting. The suspension absorbs road irregularities decently. On very rough surfaces, you feel some chatter, but nothing that ruins the ride. Fuel capacity is 16 liters, about 4.2 gallons, and in my real-world riding, I averaged about 42 mpg, 5.6 L 100 km. That gives you a practical range of about 220-230 miles, 350-370 km, under mixed usage before you should refill. Ergonomics and comfort-wise, the seat is moderately cushioned, with a slight bump to keep you planted during acceleration. For two-up riding, passenger pegs are solid, though the tail seat is a bit compact, good for shorter stints. The foot peg placement is sporty but doesn't feel overly aggressive. Over longer rides, you might occasionally shift weight or stretch, but it's still more forgiving than full superbikes. Instrumentation is clean and functional. A full digital dash with speedometer, tachometer, gear indicator, fuel gauge, trip meters, and a temperature readout. A small analog clock is a nice retro touch. Switchgear is firm and tactile with adequate feedback. On the aesthetics front, the Vonez X700 has crisp panel lines, minimal fairing, exposed frame elements, and tasteful touches of carbon look accents. The exhaust is a twin-pipe underbody system that ends just under the tail, neat, compact, and gives a throaty tone without being obnoxious. For riders wanting more growl, slip-ons from aftermarket brands can deepen the note. Performance in urban and twisty roads is engaging. In city traffic, the torque curve gives you usable power from low revs, so you don't need to downshift constantly. In corners, the bike feels light and nimble. On highway rides or open stretches, it pulls confidently, though once past 120 mph, wind, buffeting, and vibration begin to show. The engine stays relatively smooth up to redline, with only mild vibes felt in the foot pegs at very high RPM. One thing to note, during aggressive hard braking into a turn, the front end tends to dive more than I would like, so technique and proper braking discipline are important. Also, when pushed hard, the stock rear tire can begin to fade earlier than ideal, so upgrading to a more performance-oriented rubber is a good idea for spirited riders. For maintenance, Vonez engineered it with accessibility in mind. The side panels remove easily, letting you reach filter, spark plugs, and many regular service points without major disassembly. Valve checks are recommended every 8,000 miles, 12,800 km, and oil changes every 3,000,4,000 miles for 806, 400 km. If using standard oil, you can push to 5,000 miles on premium synthetic. Chain tensioning and adjustment are easily accessible. Spare parts will cost you a bit, being a niche model, but overall reliability seems decent if kept up regularly. Rider feedback is a mixed bag. Many praise its muscular styling and solid mid-range punch. Some criticize the mild front dive under braking or the somewhat stiff ride over rough roads. A few mention you'll feel engine heat on slower crawling traffic, especially in hot weather, due to the closely packaged radiator and minimal airflow in congested stops. Now about the price. When new in 2006, the Vonez X700 Street Dominator retailed at approximately USD 9,500, around that range depending on region and options. Today, a well-maintained example might fetch between USD 4,500 on the used market, depending on condition, mileage, and desirability. If I were you, I'd consider a few upgrades: better high-performance tires, maybe a slipper-style rear set setup, and an aftermarket exhaust to improve sound and weight. Also, upgrading brake lines to braided steel helps improve firmness and brake feel. If ABS is optional, go for it to add safety. As a final thought, the 2006 Vonez X700 Street Dominator is not a perfect bike, but it's a compelling package for a rider who wants something unique, with character, and with usable performance. It bridges the gap between sporty street machines and practical road bikes. If you care for it, it rewards you. Before we wrap up, thanks for watching this Motors review. Don't forget to hit subscribe and ring the bell so you catch our upcoming test rides and deep dives. Drop in the comments your questions about the X700 or tell me which motorcycle you'd like me to review next. Ride safe, and until next time.